Okay, there. So, hello, Esther. Hello, Carol. Yeah. So, kindly let me know if you can commence. I mean, from my side, if we are good to go, can just let me know.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
please.
Clinton.
All
Esther?
right, all right.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Clinton, and I'm the technical sales engineer for GoodWe. I'm actually based in Ghana. Um, I would like to say a very big thank you to each and everyone for making time to join another section of the GoodWe online webinar, where we talk about the GoodWe ET50 to 100 kilowatts hybrid inverter and some of the applicable scenarios where we can actually implement these products on site. So, all right, so I can see there's something in the chat, but I think sure, okay. So without wasting much time, I think we have a very short video. I mean, we actually plan of playing this video before we commence the presentation itself, just to give some, I mean, 2 minutes or 3 minutes room space whilst we wait on others to also join the webinar, just not to leave anyone behind. So from the comfort of your own home, I would like to encourage you all to have a very nice time and then enjoy the video. After this video, we are going to comment on the webinar. Yep. I think one more time. All right. Thank you everyone for, I mean, making the time. I don't know if we are okay to continue with the presentation itself, or we have to still give some small minutes whilst we wait on others to join. So I mean, Esther, kindly let me know if we are good to go, or we still have to give some time.
Yes, please, Clinton. Let us begin the webinar. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so once again, my name is Clinton, like I said. So I'm actually the technical sales engineer for GoodWe, and I'm actually based in Ghana. And as part of the GoodWe team, I have with me other colleagues, Esther and then Caroline, who are the marketing manager for East and West Africa. I would like to say it's a pleasure being with you once again. Like I said, today's webinar is mainly tailored at having a detailed, in-depth discussion of the 8050 to 100 kilowatt hybrid inverter, which is basically one of GoodWe CNI hybrid products in the market, delivering high reliability and high efficiency performance. So with this, we are not going to just talk about the technical overview or technical features. We are also going to have, a discussion of some of the applicable scenarios where we can easily implement these products in our day-to-day operations as well as our subsequent projects. So without wasting much time, I would just like to jump straight to the content for today's webinar. So the first on the list is we have a very brief introduction about GoodWe as a company, and then also share a very brief introduction about the product itself. Then we talk about the application scenarios where we can actually think of when we hear of the GoodWe ET 50 to 100 kilowatts, and then also talk about the ET and then the STS installation. So how do we install this product on site when we have them on site? And then we have a very brief overview of how to configure these inverters after installing them on site so that we get the inverters to perform how we actually intend to make them perform. Now, we also showcase with you a few case references from the West African markets to make you know, we are not just preaching the product itself, but rather we are sharing with you real life experiences and then real life let me say, customer satisfactions as well. Now, the latter part of it, which is going to be a very nice and interactive section, which I actually like it the most, is going to be the Q&A section, where we actually try as much as possible to attend to each and every suggestion, contribution, inquiry that you might have along the journey of this webinar. So we encourage you to kindly feel free to use the chat box, the Q&A box, and then giving any inputs that you might have. Concerning the GoodWe ET50 100 kilowatt hybrid inverter. If there's anything that you'd like to seek clarifications on, we encourage you to make use of the chat box or the Q&A box, and then we try as much as possible to answer or address every concern from your end at the end of the webinar. So, like I said, the introduction, I'm quite sure most of us here might have heard of GoodWe as a company. You might have seen GoodWe products or GoodWe brand, in the market. So this is not probably maybe the first time meeting us, but I would just like to give a very brief introduction about, what GoodWe does and then our vision and our mission. So as a company, we actually have one vision, and our vision is driving the world's smart energy future. And then our determination to becoming a major driving force in the global energy transition, assisting EPCs, installers, end users building a sustainable future has always been our mission. And then we still have that as our mission. Now, the company has actually transitioned from, series of, let me say, phases. We actually came up, in 2010, that's where the company was actually established. And then earlier on, people just used to know GoodWe to be an inverter manufacturer. But as a company, we've actually transitioned from just being an inverter manufacturer to being an energy solution provider, where we provide energy solutions to end users, being it residential, being it commercial and industrial, or the utility sectors as well. So from 2010 to date, we've actually moved through a series of phases. We came up or we started with EV inverters for residential usage and then ended up coming into the hybrid market for the residential sectors and then expanded our footprint into the commercial and then also industrial as well as the utility sectors as well. So with this, we actually have a very rich portfolio. So our portfolio is not just limited to the GoodWe ET 50 to 100 kilowatts, but we actually have a very rich portfolio that caters for both residential commercial and industrial, as well as the utility sectors as well. Now, talking of brand or talking of model, GoodWe is not just any brand or any model within the industry. So in the industry, GoodWe is highly, let me say, known and also highly accredited by Bloomberg NEF as a tier one inverter brand or as a tier one inverter model. So being a tier one inverter model basically tells you the kind of efficiency, the kind of quality, and then the kind of durability that GoodWe brings to the market. And this is the main reason why on top of the hierarchy, you see GoodWe name sitting there peacefully, So in terms of inverter rank, or let me say brand ranking, there is no other brand or model higher than GoodWe when it comes to the inverter hierarchy. So GoodWe is actually a tier one inverter brand that assures you of high quality, high efficiency, and then durability as well. Yep. So I think I would like Caroline to actually explain to you, our pool. where we actually seek for, I mean, contributions from each and everyone within this webinar. So, Caroline, if you can hear me, I think I'll hand over this slide to you.
Yeah, sure, Clinton. Thank you for taking us through the introduction of GoodWe. So what we have here is some poll questions to get to understand more about you, get to know which challenges are you currently facing when designing and installing the commercial and industrial hybrid inverters, and also to get to know which aspect of the GoodWe hybrid inverters for C&I do you most want to learn about today? So there are a couple of options there. And lastly, we have the third question, which also gauges your familiarity with our GoodWe CNI solution. So what I'll do right now is I'll share this poll. It will run for at least 1 to 2 minutes, and there's no right or wrong answer. So just put in your choices according to your experience. Okay. So I'm launching the poll now. You should see it on your screen. So we'll take at least 1 or 2 minutes for you to answer. Okay, I can see Addison, I can see Erica, I can see Rakan, Roxon, Yemi. Please select the most relevant answers. Then we will dive into the webinar. Again, there is no wrong answer. There is no wrong answer. Okay, one more minute. Okay. Okay, thanks for your entries. Thanks for your entries. We have 20 more seconds remaining before we close the poll. 20 more seconds. Okay, thank you very much. So I'm ending the poll now and I'm sharing the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Carol, maybe you go through, or do you think it's something
Yeah.
that I think?
Okay, sure. Sure. So the first question was which major challenges you face in designing and installing commercial and industrial systems? It seems that majority of the people here have a challenge in terms of commissioning, monitoring, and troubleshooting, which is followed by battery configuration. Okay. On the second question, which aspect of the GoodWe ET 50 to 100 kilowatt hybrid inverters do you want to learn more about? So there's a bit, quite a tie here. Most people want to learn about proper sizing and system design. Also on the same scale, we have battery integration and backup configuration, and also monitoring, commissioning, and troubleshooting. All right. The last question is how familiar are you with the GoodWe T50 to 100 kilowatt hybrid inverters? Majority, so there's a 50-50 share on majority of the people are very familiar and also somewhat familiar, while having the least a number of people who are not familiar at all. Clinton, kindly proceed. Thank you very much for taking your time to answer our poll questions.
All right. So, once again, thank you, I mean, for giving us your contribution. I think this actually helps us in planning our subsequent webinars, and then most also, I mean, in-person trainings, just to make sure each and everyone that participate in our webinars get to stay updated with, I mean, the latest innovations, technologies, and also how to use the GoodWe products. So we'd like to say thank you very much for your contribution, and then we'll also proceed with today's webinar. Um, really, um, just a moment. I think I'm trying to go next, but I'm not able to. Just a moment. Really. Hi, Carol. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, sorry. I mean, sorry for the inconvenience. I think my laptop was misbehaving a little bit. All right. So moving on with the presentation for today. Like I said, today's webinar is mainly going to talk about the GoodWe ET 50 to 100 kilowatts. So from the poll, some people were saying they are quite familiar with the inverter model. Some were saying they've heard of it. They've not actually used it on site. And a very small portion were saying they've actually never, heard of the product itself. So when you talk of the GoodWe ET 50 or let me say 40, 50 kilowatt hybrid inverter, this is exactly what we're talking of. So in case you've never seen the GoodWe ET 40, 50 kilowatt hybrid inverter, this is an exact picture depicting, let me say, an on-site installation for demonstration purposes. So this is exactly how the inverter actually looks like on site. So you can see in terms of appearance, aesthetically nice, very compact, robust, and then also in terms of performance, it's highly designed to give uninterrupted power supply and then also help the end users reduce their dependency on the national grid. Now, over here is also, so the inverter unit itself has some four LEDs that you can see from the picture. So you see there are four different LEDs over here. Each of these LEDs actually comes with its own meaning. So these LEDs speak to the installer, they speak to the EPC, they speak to the end user as well. So we have the first LED on the left, which is basically the system LED. So the system LED basically tells let me say, the installer or the EPC or the end user whether the system is actually operating normally or let me say there is any kind of abnormality in the system. Now we also have the backup LED, which is the second LED from the left, which also tells the EPC, tells the installer, tells the end user or anyone on site whether the inverter is actually has grid connecting. Let me see, it's in on-grid mode or basically it's giving out an output. So in the case of grid availability, the LED has a definition where it comes to green, and then in case of there is no grid availability, but the inverter is working in off-grid mode, giving output to the load connected, it also stays amber. Now we also have the third LED from the left, which is the COM LED. So basically, what this COM LED tells the installer or tells the EPC or the end user on site is internet connectivity to the inverter unit itself. So with this, you get to know whether there's internet connectivity to the system or there's no internet connectivity. Now, basically, the performance of the inverter unit itself is independent on internet connectivity. But the main reason why you might need internet connectivity is basically for cloud monitoring, so that you can actually access remote monitoring and then have 24/7 control of your power plants, irrespective of your location. Now we also have the last LED, which is the battery LED. So this just depicts or gives a fair idea to the end user how, let me say, the current battery SOC of his system. So with this, you get to have a fair idea. Probably maybe my battery is 25%, 50%, 65%, and then also tells you whether your battery is charging or discharging. So basically, that's it. That's a very brief overview of the ET 40 50 kilowatt inverter itself. Like I said, we'll be talking about the 50 to 100 kilowatts. So I'm going to also showcase to you the 100 kilowatts, the appearance of the 100 kilowatt ET inverter itself in the subsequent slides. Now, we also see a very smaller unit compared to the inverter unit itself over here, which is a very smaller unit. Now, the name for this is STS. This is the STS unit, which we will elaborate more on it later on the slides. But this is also, let me say, a unit that serves as a complement to the hybrid inverter and then plays some key role in giving the inverter the functionality to switch between on-grid and an off-grid. So this STS unit also comes with, four AC connection ports down here, and then also comes with also these LED buttons here, where it speaks to the installer as well. So with this, you are able to understand whether your system is working in on-grid mode or off-grid mode, as well as whether there is communication established between the STS unit and then the ET inverter. And then also there is a fourth LED that tells you whether there is an abnormality or probably the system is working normally or working fine. So this is just, let me say, a complement to the hybrid inverter itself, and it gives the hybrid inverter the on-grid and off-grid switch capability. Now, to have a detailed overview of the hybrid inverter itself. So basically, so these are, let me say, views from different angles. So from the left side, you can actually see we have cooling fans that actually perform cooling of the inverter unit itself. And then you can also see there's a rotary switch for the DC connectivity. So with this, you can easily, let me say, open or close the MPPT circuit internally. Then you also have the front view. I mean, aesthetically very, very nice. I mean, you can see from yourself. And then we have the LED buttons over here. Then you also have the vents for cooling as well. So basically, this is a view of the 80, 40, 50 kilowatt inverter from different angles. Now, in terms of the connection ports, or let me say where connections are done, for the 80, 40, 50 kilowatt inverter, we have all the connection ports beneath the inverter unit itself. So at the bottom view. So with this, you can easily and then, let me say, seamlessly do all connections, being it DC, being it AC, or being it communication cabling. So from the very far left, I mean, we have series of ports. We have 8 different ports over here, and then we've actually label them in numbers for easy description. So from the very far left, which we have the port labeled number 1. So we have this as the PV connection point. So the DC PV input, basically the MPPTs. Now the 80, 40, 50 kilowatts comes with, so we have maximum of 4 MPPTs for the 50 kilowatts and the maximum of 3 MPPTs for the 40 kilowatts. Now each unit, or let me say each model, comes with a maximum of 2 strings per MPPT input. So you can see this is a bottom view of the 40 kilowatt. We have 3 MPPTs, 1, 2, and then 3. And then you have 2 strings per MPPT. So with that, you get 6 total DC input slots. Now, the inverter also comes with, so the 40, 50 kilowatts comes with 150% DC oversizing. So with this, you get to, oversize your hybrid system on the panel size. The main idea behind this DC oversizing is just to allow you get full load operation and then also still get, excess power to still charge your battery. In terms of, let me say, current ratings, we have a maximum of 42 amp DC input current on the MPPT side. And then you also get, I think, a maximum voltage of 1,000 volts. So for the 40, 50 kilowatts, the recommended is around, highest recommended voltage is around 850 volts. So with this, you have, very wide voltage range. Giving you that kind of assurance that you can easily integrate even higher PV power models in your system design. Now, on the second slot on the second labeled, we also have the DC input for battery. So we have the battery DC input slots where we have the positive and then the negative. So with this, you can easily connect your battery DC cable to your system, supplying battery DC voltages to your inverter. Now, the first COM port here, which is labeled number 3, we have COM1, and this COM port serves as, let me say, a center for different communication ports. So we have 2 RS485 ports here for parallel units, for the 80, 40, 50 kilowatts. You can do a maximum of 10 units in parallel. So we have the RS485 ports over here where you can easily establish your parallel communication between multiple units. Then we also have other dry contacts over here where you can actually use them for one diesel generator start and stop control, as well as load controls as well. So these are signal ports where you can easily send signals to external contactors or send signals to a generator to start and stop the diesel generator seamlessly. Now we also have the second COM port, which is COM2, labeled number 4, and this is basically the communication port for the Wi-Fi LAN kit dongle. So the inverter unit actually comes with a standard Wi-Fi LAN kit communication dongle, and in terms of connection to the inverter, this is the port where we actually establish the communication, let's say the connection with the Wi-Fi LAN kits. Now we have series of communication ports labeled over here. So starting from number 5, we have the meter COM port. So this actually serves as a communication port to establish a communication between your smart meter, that's your external smart meter, the GoodWe smart meter GM330, and then your inverter. So with this, you are able to do export control as well as read your grid incoming powers as well. Now we also have the BMS port, which is labeled number 6, which also serves as the communication port for your lithium-ion batteries. So with this, you can establish a communication between your lithium-ion battery on site and then the inverter, achieving discharge and charge control. Now we also have the port labeled number 7, which is the STS port. So this is the port where you can easily establish a communication between the smaller unit we spoke of earlier, which is the STS box, and then the inverter unit itself. Now we have the last port, which is the port labeled number 8, and then this is called AC output port. So the hybrid inverter actually comes with just one AC output port, basically just like a normal grid side inverter. And then this is where the port is. So with this, it's a three-phase inverter. So you can get line 1, line 2, line 3, neutral, and then potential X. So with this, you can easily connect your AC cables on site to the inverter. Now, in terms of dimensions, this is how the inverter looks like. The sizes of the inverter and the STS. So with this, it actually tells you it's not that bulky, doesn't consume much space in terms of installation on site. So we have 661 millimeters, basically 0.6 meters. Then you also have 0.2 meters, 0.5 meters. In terms of space, not that bulky and doesn't consume much space on site. And then same for the STS, very smaller, very compact, doesn't consume much space during installation as well. Now, like I said, the STS bus. So basically, I'm sure maybe by now you might be thinking, what's the STS bus then? So the STS bus is basically a static transfer switch. So that's the full meaning for the STS. So static transfer switch bus. Now, this basically serve as, so the main functionality is basically serve as a unit that ensures on-grid and off-grid switching with the hybrid inverter. So with this, you can easily switch between on-grid and then off-grid working mode. Just a minute. Yeah. So with this, you can easily switch between on-grid and off-grid working mode. Yep. So that's basically the STS. And these are, let me say, these are views of the STS from different angles, but we will actually be talking about it in the next slide. So yep, this is, a real picture of the STS unit itself. From the front view, we spoke of it. It comes with 4 AC connection ports. You have the first port is the inverter port. The second port is the backup load port. The third AC port is the generator port, where you can easily, integrate your diesel generator as well as big load. And we also have the grid port where you can easily connect your AC cables. That's your national grid cables. And then we've already spoken of the LEDs over here. Then you also have the side view where you have a nameplate giving you a brief description of the STS unit itself. Now, in terms of connection, in terms of AC connection, communication cable connections, like I said, it comes with 4 different AC ports. Now, this is where the main connections, the main AC connections are done. So like I said, the inverter just comes with one AC output port, and this is where we connect this AC output port on the STS. So the output port from the inverter comes directly to this port label number 1, which here, for easy identification, we've actually labeled it on the STS unit as the inverter. So with this, you are connecting your AC output cable from the inverter to this port. Now, the backup port or the backup load port is basically, let me see, the AC output port of the hybrid system. So this is where you connect your critical load on site. So basically, let me see, the house load that you want to power with the inverter unit itself. This is basically where you connect it to. And then you also have the diesel generator port. So this is basically, let me say, a multifunctional or smart port that performs 2 different roles. So the first, default role is the connectivity of diesel generators. So with this, you can easily connect your diesel generator into the system, and then, allow your diesel generator to also supply load to the backup load, as well to supply power to the backup load, as well as also charge the batteries when needed. Aside diesel generator connectivity, you can also connect a big load to this same port and then establish control. Then we also have the last port for the AC connections, which is the grid port, where you can easily connect your AC grid cables. So your national grid cables, you have line 1, line 2, line 3, neutral, and then PE, where you can easily connect it to. Then the fifth port, which is not an AC port, but is basically a communication port, is where you connect your communication cable between the STS unit and then the inverter unit. So if you can recall, the inverter unit had a communication port labeled STS. So from the STS port on the inverter unit to the COM port of the STS unit. So that's where you establish the communication between the STS unit and then the inverter unit itself. So, talking about the ET100, looking at the increasing demand for hybrid solutions, or let me say bigger hybrid system capacities in the market, GoodWe also actually came up, or let's say we actually released our ET100 kilowatts hybrid inverter. Now, in terms of functionality, it actually has the same function as the ET50 kilowatt, but comes with upgraded features. Now, some of the upgraded features that we can actually speak of is one, the introduction of the LCD screen. So from the 8050 kilowatts, you actually saw there was just basically, let me say, LEDs for definitions. But here we actually have the LCD as an option where you can actually have with your hybrid inverter for easy on-site monitoring as well as easy on-site configuration. Now, aside the introduction of the LCD screen, we also have multiple MPPTs and multiple, let me say, dual DC battery input slots. So the 8100 kilowatts from 150% DC oversizing of the 8050, we now achieved 200% DC oversizing on the 8100. And with this, we came up with this by having 8 different MPPT input slots, each with two strengths per MPPT, and then 42 amp DC input current per MPPT. So you have 8 different MPPT slots here, 2 slots per MPPT, giving you 16 slots in total. Now, in terms of the battery connectivity, you also have two different battery input slots. So you have dual battery input slots where you can easily connect 2 different battery models on site. So you have, huge flexibility. Now we also have the communication ports over here, which also gives you the option for parallel. So with this, you can actually have, on-grid parallel of up to 15 units, and then for off-grid parallel of up to 6 units. Now we also have, the second communication port, which is the COM2, where you get the BMS communication, so separate BMS for the dual battery DC input port, and then you also have the STS and then the meter communication port as well. Then you also have your communication port for the Wi-Fi LAN kit communication dongle, and then you also get your DC switch to control the MPPTs. So we have DC switch 1, DC switch 2, each controlling different portion of the MPPTs. Yep. So, just like the 8050 kilowatt inverter, where we spoke of the STS unit. So, the 8050 comes with an STS, which is 50 kilowatt. Now, the 8100 also comes with its own STS. Now, the STS capacity for the 8100 is basically 125 kilowatts. So, you can see 125 kilowatt STS, and this is compatible with the 8100. So, with this, same functionality as the 50 kilowatt STS, but upgraded features. Now, some of the upgraded features that we have over here is the introduction of the communication ports for the meter. So with this, so far as there's nothing like an on-grid load connected to the inverter, there is no need to use or make use of external meter or external CTs. So with that, GoodWe helps you to cut down cost by just introducing the STS 125 kilowatts. So you easily connect your meter communication cable from the inverter meter port to the meter port of the STS unit itself. And with this, the STS is designed with internal CTs to be doing the sampling and then also reading the grid incoming cables, the grid incoming powers and figures, and then also reading all the load so far as all the load are connected to the backup ports unit itself. So in terms of, let me say, port description, same as the 804050 kilowatt STS, we have the inverter ports, we have the backup ports, we have the smart ports for diesel generator, as well as big load control or big load connectivity. And then you also have the grid ports. Then we have the meter and the inverter communication ports, as well as the meter communication ports as well. Now, in terms of battery compatibility, GoodWe has a very wide range of products when it comes to the inverter side as well as the battery side. Now, with the 8050 and then 100 kilowatts and inverters, hybrid inverters, in terms of battery compatibility, we have them compatible with our B80 50 kilowatt hour and then B80 100. Now, with this, you get the chance to easily expand your battery bank capacity all the way from 1 to 6 batteries in parallel in a single system. So 6 pieces of this can be connected to just one inverter. Now we also have the B80 100 where you can also do maximum of 4 battery clusters connected to just one single 8050 100. So with this, you get the chance to easily upgrade your inverter capacity as well as your battery banks as well. Now, the interesting part, that's the applicable scenarios. Since we are now, let me say we have a fair idea of what the inverter unit itself is, and then what, we can actually use it for. Then let's think about in terms of, project basis, how can we implement these inverters in our projects? Now, the first applicable scenario is a single inverter without backup functionality. So like I said, the inverter actually comes with just one AC port, and the STS unit is what gives the inverter the switching between on-grid and off-grid. That's the backup functionality. So now with no STS connected, the inverter is not, it's not something that you cannot use in a project. So this helps you in terms of projects that are limited in terms of finance, or let me say there's financial constraints, and then would like to be deployed in phases. So it's starting with just hybrid inverter and then your PV, your battery, and then your national grid, and then probably maybe due to cost later on adding up your STS, or even maybe later on adding up your STS and then your batteries. So with this, you can easily integrate your system where the PV and then the battery will be using the AC voltages as reference to supply load to supply power to the load. So with this, it's just like a normal grid tie system, but you have the let me say the upgraded functionality. You have the benefits where your batteries, even in the night time where there's no PV production from your panels, your batteries can still supply power to the load using the AC incoming voltages as reference point. Now, second applicable scenario, this is the basic, let me say, the normal hybrid system scenario that we all know, or we all think of. So we have your PV connected to the inverter, you have your batteries connected to the inverter, you also have your STS unit, then you have your critical load, then you have your normal load. So basically, this is, let me say, on-grid load. Now, with this critical load, so this is basically connected to the backup port of the STS. So this is basically your, let me say, your backup load. Now, in this case, you have no diesel generator connected. It's just the critical load and the STS and your batteries and your PV. And then in the occurrence of grid outages, your battery and then your PV, that's if there's PV available, supply power to the critical load through the STS. So the first applicable scenario in the occurrence of grid outages, your inverter goes into waiting mode because there is no STS available or there is no STS in the system. Now, with the introduction of the STS in the occurrence of grid outages, your system switches to off-grid mode and then the PV or the battery discharge power to supply the critical load. The third applicable scenario that we can also think of is also the unbalanced load in on and off-grid state. So like I said, the inverter itself is a three-phase system, but the inverter comes with 100% unbalanced output. Now, what does this actually mean to the end user? So with this, you can see, aside maybe having a three-phase load connected to the inverter or the STS, you can also have three different single-phase load demand connected to the STS units. Unbalanced load demand. Mostly in the African homes, we have a three-phase power coming from the national grid, but basically in the house itself, there's nothing like a three-phase load in the house. So you have, three-phase power coming from the national grid, split to three different phases. So we have single-phase load on each phases. Now, in these situations or in these cases where we have unbalanced load on each of the phases, this inverter can still perform uninterrupted power supply or produce uninterrupted power supply to this on balanced load demand. How does the inverter does that? Now, so far as the maximum output per phase from the inverter output, or let me say the demand on the inverter output, is not exceeding the maximum output per phase the inverter can actually bring out, this inverter can actually supply this unbalanced load. So let's say one phase has a demand of, let's say, 5 kilowatts, the other phase has a demand of, let's say, 3 kilowatts, and then the other phase has a demand of, let's say, 16 or 18 kilowatts. So far as the maximum demand per each phase is not more than the maximum demand the inverter can actually give, which is 18.33 kilowatts for the 50 kilowatts, your inverter can still deliver this uninterrupted power supply to this unbalanced load in on-grid and then off-grid states, because each of the load is independent with a single phase voltage. This gives you a huge flexibility and then huge, let me say, assurance of system performance. Now, the fourth applicable scenario, which is where probably I would like to say you like to add a little bit engineering to your system. This is where you actually have a big load control. So in this system, you actually have two different things introduced here. So one is the introduction of the diesel generator, and then the next thing is also the introduction of the big load. Like I said, the inverter actually comes with a COM port where you can actually have a signal control to start and stop your diesel generator. And then you can also do load control. So you can also have a signal to control how power flow to a certain load. Now, we have two different load over here. So the generator is actually connected to the generator ports as usual. Then you have two different critical loads over here. So this is the normal backup load within the household. And then you have a certain big load, which is more or less like a critical load, but of less importance. So let's say in the occurrence of grid outages, we would like the big load to run, but we wouldn't like this big load to drain much of the battery. So how do we do this? How do we achieve this? That is where we make use of the GoodWe ET 40, 50, 100 kilowatt inverter signal load control. So with the introduction of a contactor, an external contactor, the inverter can actually send a signal to this external contactor to tell the contactor to open its relay or close its relay allowing power to flow from the backup port of the STS to this big load, depending on the battery SOC. So with this, you can highly control how power flow from your batteries, or let me say how your battery discharge to this big load. Very simple with just an introduction of a contactor and a signal cable and just, a very few configuration settings. And then you are able to achieve a big load control with the GoodWe ET40, 50, and 100 kilowatt hybrid inverters. Now, the second applicable, let me say the second applicable scenario under the fourth application is the connectivity of the big load on the generator port. So like I said, the diesel generator ports can be used for multifunctional purposes. One is the default use, which is the connectivity of the diesel generator. And then we also have the other functionality, which is connectivity of a big load. So instead of connecting your big load to the backup ports, where you will have to introduce a contactor to make sure this big load doesn't drain much of your battery, you can also connect this big load to the generator port directly. That's in the absence of a diesel generator. So how does this system actually supply power to this? So the SCS itself comes with internal relays, and this internal relays controls the power flow to this big load based on the configuration, just like how the inverter would have started and stopped the diesel generator. That's the same way the inverter will supply power to this big load, depending on how the system is being configured. Okay, so a very quick question. So let me see. I'm sure by now maybe you are thinking, okay, so in the occurrence of maybe grid outages, I have my ET inverter, I have my STS installed. Probably maybe in different scenarios, I don't have a generator, I have a generator installed and all this stuff. What will happen? What is the possible scenario that I'm going to experience on site? Now, the first thing is now in the occurrence of grid or let me say utility power fails. First thing, if there is no generator connected, by default, the inverter actually switches to off-grid operation. So it actually moves from on-grid to off-grid operation, and then the PV power generation, and then the battery discharge to supply the load. Now, if PV is enough to supply the load, the PV supply the load, whilst the excess charges the battery. If the PV is not enough, the battery now discharges to support the PV supplying the load. If there is no PV, the battery now supply full load demand to make sure the house or the utility gets power. Now, the second option is, okay, I have a diesel generator connected. Now, if you have a diesel generator connected and then there is grid outage on site, the first thing is the PV and battery able to meet the load requirements? Now, if the PV and battery is able to meet the load requirements, the system doesn't start the generator. So the generator stays off and doesn't come on because the PV and then the battery able to meet the load requirements. Now, the third thing is, okay, fine, no problem. I have diesel generator connected. I have my PV, I have my battery. There's great outage, but my PV and battery cannot meet the load requirements. So what is going to happen? Sure. So if the PV and then the battery can't supply the load required power, then the system now start the diesel generator. So using the signal cable, the system will now start the diesel generator, and then the diesel generator now supply full load to the house. Whilst if you've allowed the diesel generator to support the PV in charging of the batteries, the diesel generator also supports your PV to charge your batteries as well. So this gives you, a whole lot of flexibility, a whole lot of less assurance in terms of system performance, where you are highly assured that even in the occurrence of utility outages, definitely the system is going to switch to off-grid mode. If there is generator connected, it's going to switch to generator on-grid connected mode. Talking about the STS and then the inverter installation. Now we have series of YouTube, let me say recorded videos on our YouTube platform that I will highly encourage each and everyone here to probably maybe visit our YouTube platform after this webinar so that at the pace of your own self, at the pace of your own learning and also from the comfort of your own home, you can easily follow up the videos to get to know the step-by-step installation guidelines as well as the configuration guidelines on YouTube. But for a very quick review and then recap, we would like to highlight a few basic steps on how to install and then configure the GoodWe ET50 inverter. Now, in terms of hand tools, what will you need on the site to configure this, to install this inverter? Basically, you need the normal basic hand tools that you will need on site. So your screwdriver, your wire stripper, terminal crimper, your cable lock crimper, your wire cutter, hammer drill, and all this stuff. Now, after getting these hand tools, do you need anything exceptional to make sure you'll be able to install this inverter? Okay, fine. In terms of deliveries, the inverter actually comes with everything that you need for a single system installation. So for the ET40 50 kilowatts, these are the deliveries that comes with the inverter package. So you get your GoodWe smart meter, which is highly needed for export control. And then you also get your Wi-Fi LAN kit dongle, which is highly also needed for cloud connectivity and data transmission. And then you also get your mounting plate. You get your AC cover for routing of your AC cables to the inverter AC port. Then you also get your meter communication cable to establish a communication between your GoodWe meter GM330 and then your inverter unit. And then you get the accessory bag. So what do we get, or let me say, what do we find inside the accessory bag? Now, within the accessory bag, you get to see, we give you DC MC4 connectors for your PV connectivity. So basically, there's no need to be thinking of external MC4s for your string connectivity on the inverter side. Basically, the only thing that you might be thinking of is the MC4 needed to connect your main string on the roof. Now, for the inverter side, we give you the needed MC4 to fill out the EV slot on the inverter unit. Now you also get your meter communication converter. You get, we give you a wrench, we give you a screwdriver just in case you end up misplacing your screwdriver on site. We give you an extra one so you can always rely on us. Then we also give you, the cable locks. We give you the battery connectors. We give you a document which you can easily, rely or fall on, just in case you end up getting confused on site and then you want to check up on a few things. Then we also give you the communication cable for the BMS and then for the STS and then for the smart meter as well. Now, in terms of the installation itself, very, very simple. You can see, it's very simple and straightforward. So after installation, it's all smiles, as you can see from my face. It's very, very simple. And I'm very sure the moment you try to use GoodWe inverters on site, you are going to smile just like how I'm smiling in the picture. So first thing is installing the ET inverter itself. So you mount your bracket on the wall, or let me say your mounting surface. Then you hang your hybrid inverter on it. Connect your PE cables, connect your DC cables, connect the AC cables, connect the communication cable, install your meter, and then install the communication module, and then you're good to go with the installation. Very simple, very straightforward. Now we have a video over here. We have a video over here that I would like to also consume just a little bit of your time where I can, share with you so that you can also have a look at it. So this is just basically from unboxing, installation, and probably a little bit of the configuration. So without leading you directly to the YouTube page, I will just probably maybe play this video, and I wish you actually enjoy this video. So just 5 minutes of your time. Let's enjoy the video.
Welcome to GoodWe training series. Today we will take you through the ET50 series unboxing and installation. Unboxing. Here is the ET50 series box. In the box, there is a mounting plate, an accessory bag, documents, meter communication cable, AC protective cover, meter, communication module, inverter. Here are all the components in the box. Here are the components included in the accessory bag. This is the matching product STS. In the box, there is a mounting plate, meter communication cable, for AC protective cover. Here are all the components in the box. Introduction of the inverter. Take a look at the appearance of ET50 from different views. Length is 521 millimeters. Width is 259 millimeters and the height is 661 millimeters. Here is the lab of the inverter. And here is the parameter label of the inverter. Bottom views of the ET50. There are many ports. Take a look at the appearance of STS from different views. Length is 510 millimeters. Width is 147 millimeters and height is 425 millimeters. Bottom views of STS. There are many ports. Installation of the inverter. Here are the main tools prepared for the installation of ET50. Now, we need to fasten the mounting plate to the wall. Fix all 6 screws as shown in the video. Then hang the inverter on the mounting bracket. After it, do not forget to tighten the safety screw. Then, fasten the another mounting plate to the wall. Then hang the STS on the mounting bracket. After it, do not forget to tighten the safety screw. Use wire stripper to strip the wire insulation layer to a suitable length. Then insert the wire into the terminal and compress it tightly with crimping pliers. Install the sleeve over the wire and terminal connections and blow it tight with a heat gun. And fix the ground cable on the inverter. Preparation and connection of DC side. Use wire stripper to strip the wire insulation layer to a suitable length. Then insert the wire into the terminal and compress it tightly with crimping pliers. Insert the wire into the positive DC connector. Then unplug the MPPT protectors and insert the DC wires. Preparation and connection of battery side. Strip the wire insulation to the appropriate length and insert the wire into the terminal and compress it tightly with crimping pliers. Fix the bottom of the battery connector upward and tighten it. Same process on the negative battery connector. Connect the battery connector to the designated location of the inverter. At the battery side, connect the positive and negative connectors of the cable to the battery respectively. Preparation and connection of AC side. Insert the striped wire into the OT terminal and compress it tightly. Use a heat gun to blow each heat shrink tube tightly. Install the 5 wires into the designated positions respectively. Install the AC protective cover and tighten it. Connect the other end of the cable to the inverter side port of the STS. Finally, connect the AC wires to the STS grid-connected port. Communication connection. Install one end of the communication cable on the inverter. Install the meter and then connect the other end of communication cable to meter. Connect CT and meter as shown in the video. Install the communication module into ET50. As shown in the video, the installation and connection of the inverter is completed. Turn on the DC switch. Then we can start the commissioning of the inverter now. Thank you for watching. For more installation and configuration videos of GoodWe training series, please visit our GoodWe community and stay tuned to our official account.
Um, all right, so thank you. Thank you for making the time to enjoy the wonderful video. Showcasing the installation of the GoodWe ET and then the STS units. I'm sure from the installation video itself, you can actually testify. It's a very straightforward installation, and then doesn't take much time. Now, for the STS deliveries, I'm sure probably from the video, you actually had a feel or you probably had an idea of what to expect in the STS unit box itself. But basically, just to highlight with you, so we have, you get the mounting plate, you get the expansion boot, you get documents for, referrals, just in case you like to double check on something that you are probably maybe confusing on. And then you also have the AC protective cover. So you have 4 AC protective covers to cover or to route your AC cables for the inverter, the backup port, the generator port, and then the grid port as well. Now, in terms of tools needed, hand tools needed for the installation is very simple and straightforward. Basically, just need the normal hand tools that you need on site, just like the ET inverter itself. And then the installation is very simple. So you just mount the bracket for the STS units and then hang the STS unit on it. And after that, you can just do your AC communication. You can do your AC connectivity and then also your communication cabling connectivity as well. Now, SolarGo configuration. Now, after installing the system itself on site, the next thing that you might be thinking of is how to configure the inverter unit itself. Now, GoodWe actually have, we have a traditional way of configuring GoodWe inverters, all of our inverters, and that's using the SolarGo application. Now, with the SolarGo application, after being able to access the SolarGo home interface, that's, accessing it as an installer, the first overview or the first interface that you see is basically exactly like this picture shows over here. So this is, just an overview of the SolarGo application. And then we have series of YouTube videos on this one as well that I also encourage that probably after this webinar, you can also visit and then have, a very, in-depth understanding on how to do things. So from the first view, you have the home view where you can easily get to check your serial number. You get to check your device status. You get to check the energy flow chart, which is very important. So you get to see your PV power production. You get to see your battery SOC. You get to see whether your battery is charging or charging. You also get to see the house load demand and then the amount of power coming from the grid or going into the grid. Now, under the parameters page, you also get to see, your PV voltages, your AC voltages, your battery voltages, your battery state, whether it's charging or discharging, the battery communication status, and then also get to see the alarm pages as well. So with that, you get to see if there's an occurrence of an alarm or there is, everything is working fine and there's no alarm popping up on the system. Now, under the settings page, you also get to easily, under 1 or maximum 2 minutes, get to easily configure your system. So with under the settings page, you get the chance to do your quick settings, you get the chance to do your basic settings, you get the chance to do advanced settings, communication settings, and the likes. So firmware upgrade, everything that you need to do on site. So less than a minute or less than two, you are able to do your configuration settings and then get your system up and running. Now, in terms of thinking of where to get this application for download, it's easily accessible. It's easily to download from the App Store as well as Google Play Store. So iOS and then also Android phones all can actually get access to this app on App Store as well as Google Play Store for download. So like I said, we have, tutorials on YouTube where you can probably after the webinar, have a look at it to have the, in-depth step-by-step guide on how to use the SolarGo application for your system configuration. Now, in terms of case references, like I said, we are not just preaching, the product itself, but we are rather sharing with you real life experience and then also real life case references. So this is a 50 kilowatts, 100 kilowatt hour battery system installed in Accra, Ghana. So this over here is installed for a facility, and this is delivering uninterrupted power supply to the facility. And then they are highly, 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 let me say, okay with the performance of the 8050 and then the 100 kilowatt BET battery. So this over here is basically an outdoor unit. So you can see this is actually installed outdoor. So it's an outdoor unit. And suitable for outdoor installation, comes with a space where you can easily hang your inverters as well. Then you also have the B8050, which is an indoor unit. So this is also another picture showcasing an installation with 8050 STS and then two stacks or two towers of the B8050 indoor battery unit itself. All these are located in Accra, Ghana, and these are delivering uninterrupted power supply, high efficiency, and then getting the consumer moving from just being a consumer to being an energy consumer, where they produce the same energy that they consume. I think it's a very great pleasure being your facilitator throughout this webinar, and here is the most interactive, or let me say the most exciting part. So we would like to welcome you to the Q&A section where, we give, let's say, we open our doors to every question, basically every contribution, every suggestion that you might have throughout the webinar, or let me say anything that you like to seek clarity on, you like to be double sure, so anything that you like to be double sure, you can just easily, key it into the Q&A box or the chat box, or probably raise your hands and then my colleagues will draw my attention to that. So, hello, Esther. I think I'll hand over the presentation now to you whilst you take us through the Q&A if there's anything for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Clinton, for taking us through such an elaborate presentation on the GoodWe ET4050 and also the BAT series for commercial and industrial scenarios. So we are now in the question and answer session. There are a couple of questions which came in terms of how to partner with GoodWe as a reseller and also on the installer part. So for that, Yemi will reach out to you after this webinar, depending on where you're from. Then our respective country manager or the technical person will get back to you on this. Most probably the country manager. A question from Hamed: to be your installer, I think we need a physical product training too. Yes, so for that, depending on where you are, we'll reach out to you also after this webinar and organize. We have our sales people and technical people to provide support within West Africa. So we'll reach out to you after this webinar. Okay, the other question is from Thomas. What's the difference between SolarGo and PV Master app? I repeat, what's the difference between SolarGo and PV Master app? Clinton?
All right, so the PV, okay, so Thomas, thanks for your question. So the PV Master app is basically, let me say, the first configuration app that was used to configure GoodWe inverters. So that was the previous, for the previous models, the earlier app that was released for configuration was the PV Master. Now, the SolarGo is basically, let me say, an advanced form of, the PV Master, and that is the latest application for configuration of all GoodWe hybrid and grid-tied inverters. So there's not much of a huge difference, but the SolarGo is, let me say, an upgraded version, or let me say, upgraded functionality of the PV Master, and that is the current application that's used to configure all GoodWe inverters.
Okay, thanks for that, Clinton. Thomas, I hope that the answer is clear for you. Okay, we're still in the question and answer session. I saw a hand up from Silas, but he's put his hand down. Okay, because we are running out of time, we'll allocate 1 more minute to answer your questions. Okay, Silas, I'm enabling you to talk. Please proceed. Kindly unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, yes, please, we
Hello.
can hear you. Yeah,
So
hello, Silas, we can hear you.
thank you for the opportunity given. So my question is in reference to the unbalanced output feature of the inverter. I wanted to know if there is a time frame for the inverter to handle this unbalanced load situation, or the inverter can run this unbalanced situation for quite some time. That's basically my question.
Okay, all right, so thank you, Silas. So in terms of, let me say, timing for the unbalanced load, there's no timing for the unbalanced load. So far as you've not exceeded the maximum output per phase the inverter can actually give out, the system can run forever and ever with this 100% unbalanced load. Now, the timing comes in when you have, and when you hit the maximum output. So, the 50 kilowatts can do 110% overloading capacity for 10 seconds. So basically 55 kilowatts. So that is where the timing comes in. So when you hit that 55 kilowatts, then you're expected to run for less than 10 seconds, because basically we presume that is just to cater for inrush current. So aside, hitting the peak, that's for inrush current, which is to accommodate for 10 seconds, the 100% unbalanced output, loading can still work forever and ever, so far as you've not exceeded the maximum output per phase the inverter can actually give out.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Silas.
All right. So thank you, Silas, for your question. Do we have so I'll allow for 1 more question due to the interest of time. I can see some reactions coming up. A love heart. Thank you very much. We're still in the Valentine season, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 1 more minute. Okay. I think Clinton, please proceed.
Okay. All right. So thank you to each and everyone for your contributions, for your time, and then also for being with us throughout this webinar. Like I said, my name is Clinton, and I'm a technical sales engineer. I'm actually based in Ghana. We have colleagues in Nigeria as well. Caroline and Esther is with me from Kenya. And we have, on this slide, you can actually see we are showcasing with you our social media platforms, where we encourage you to kindly follow us on LinkedIn as GoodWe Africa, and then also on Facebook as well. Now, over here is my contact, so you can actually get my email as well as my contact number. And should there be any need for further clarifications, or let's say further meetups, just like how someone was requesting for an in-person meeting, you are welcome to reach out to me on my reach out contact. So you can reach out to me via phone number, via WhatsApp, phone call, or probably through email as well. So with GoodWe, we always deliver beyond expectations, and we would like to say a very big thank you once again to each and everyone for being a part of this webinar. We look forward to seeing you in the subsequent webinars. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clinton. Kindly go to the previous slide on the social media platform. Yes, so as Clinton has said, we are very active on socials. What we do on socials is we provide more information on what GoodWe is up to, which events are we attending. We could be attending an event in your country, so it's good for you to follow us and get to learn more about this. We also post about webinars such as this, and we have webinars each and every Tuesday and Wednesday. So for West Africa, we have a dedicated webinar every Wednesday. And so also follow us to get more information on this. And also any project similar to what Clinton has shared on the CNI, on residential, we also share on social. So kindly follow us. Alternatively, you could also click the link which is on the chat box, which leads you to our YouTube page. We also have the GoodWe Solar Academy YouTube page where we played the ET50 installation and commissioning. So also have a look at that. We have really amazing product videos there. Silas, okay, I'm muting you. All right. We also have Facebook pages, LinkedIn, wherever you are active, we are there. So I kindly request that you follow us. Also, after this webinar, you'll receive a very brief survey to get to know more about how you found this webinar. I see Erica is saying great presentation. Thank you very much. So for us to get more information from you, and we do value your feedback, and it also helps us to improve and make our webinars better for you. Okay, so kindly fill in the survey, which will pop in after the webinar. So just a kind ask, if you learned anything new, please react and send me a thumbs up on the reaction panel, which is located at the bottom of your screen. If you learned something new, please share a thumbs up. React, thumbs up, or any emoji which expresses how you feel. You can share a love heart. Okay. Claps, thank you. I can see thumbs up. Someone learned something new. Okay. Amazing. So please share, please follow us on socials. Thank you. I can say I love her there, so that you are in tune and you get to know more about the webinars which are coming and any news. Also, for you, anyone who's in West Africa, we have a dedicated WhatsApp group where we have other installers like you, and we also provide new information such as any product launches, any giveaways we're having. I kindly request that you also follow us, join our WhatsApp page. So in case you'd want to join, please email me. I'm sending my email address on the chat box. Email me using that email address, then I will add you to our WhatsApp group. All right. Thank you very much. Clinton, do you have any closing remarks, or Esther, before we close?
From my side, I would just like to say a very big thank you once again to everyone, and I look forward to seeing them in the subsequent webinars.
No, nothing from my end. Thanks everyone for joining us today.
All right. Thank you very much, and see you next time on Wednesday, same time. So we'll end the webinar right now. Goodbye. Keep it GoodWe.